do you have any moments on the FSP that stand out for you looking back at it from where you are now?
Sure, there are a few moments on the FSP that stand out to me. A lot of those happened during the first week of the program. We were at the British Museum in London. We got to spend the whole week talking to curators and going behind the scenes, if you will, going to some of the storerooms. So we got to handle pieces of some of the 7 ancient wonders of the world, and that was incredible and kind of mind-boggling. Some other standouts include getting to go inside the Parthenon and the Erechtheion and the Athena Nike Temple on the Acropolis in Athens, and also, with the time we had off, arranging a backpacking trip to go hiking in Epirus for 7 days.
Right. That sounds like a blast. So, would you say there's a picture for you, a single picture, that really sums up the program? When someone says, show me a picture from your FSP, is there one that always comes to mind?
Yeah, it's a little tough because there are a lot of choices, but one of the best ones is a picture of me from this Frankish fortress in Mistral, and we kind of had the day to explore, and so we just clambered around. We got to climb up parts of the fortress. Not like anything too crazy, but we got to go adventure, and it was a great day. And if you want to see the picture, this is it. So that one is a big one. It's a big popular one I show people.
Do you have some advice you would give someone who's thinking about applying to the program?
Studying abroad is different than being in Hanover. In some ways it's more intense, especially the beginning of the program, especially the way Professor Christensen runs it, so be prepared to hit the ground running and work hard, but that's really rewarding and really worth it. The other piece of advice I would give is get used to living in a foreign country with things that are not what you might expect. You can't expect it to just have something that you would expect in America. For example, like grocery stores or public bathrooms. So getting used to that takes a little adjustment, but the faster you get used to it, the happier you'll be.
So you mentioned you hit the ground running. On a scale from 1 to 10, 10 being as hard as it gets, the hardest you've ever had to work at Dartmouth, how would you rate the workload on the FSP?
I'd say it's variable over the course of the program. I'd say the first week or two was probably about a 9. It was some pretty intense work. It's a little less intense if you have the chance to do some of the readings beforehand, but I know for some people it was just completely overwhelming. I would say that the rest of the program was probably more about a 5. It was about average in terms of the workload that I typically do at Dartmouth.
There's a game I like to play to kind of sum up experiences when I'm working with groups. It's called Rose and Thorn, where you pick your best memory from the trip, your happiest time, and something that wasn't quite as happy as great. And I'd love to hear your take on that.
So there are a couple of roses that really stick out to me. One was in the British Museum. We had a curator lecture on Assyrian art and culture, and I felt like that was one of the days where I learned the most on the entire program. Another great memory was we went to a temple of Apollo at Basai. It's possibly one of the best preserved Greek temples in Greece, and it's got a lot of innovative ideas going on, and so it was really cool to be there and see that temple and be really engaged with the material. In terms of thorns, for me personally, some of the material, particularly as it pertains to the Bronze Age, was less exciting. So there were occasionally days where we would be looking at ruins and I would say, who cares? But I know a lot of people got really excited about that. So that's just my personal experience. It's not indicative of everyone's experiences on the FSP as a whole.
So if you could go back in time and tell yourself one piece of advice that you know now that you wish you knew then, what would it be?
I think I'd echo some of what I said before, which is be prepared to work hard and be prepared to adjust to new things, and you'll do just fine. It takes a little bit to get into the swing of things, so don't panic, don't freak out, it'll all work out, and everyone's there to kind of help you along. Your FSP classmates, the director's assistant, the directors are all they all want you to enjoy this experience and want you to do well.
Final question, a very typical question if you've ever taken a class with Professor Christus and you know what this is going to be. What was your biggest takeaway from the Greece FSP?
Yes, my biggest takeaway. I should have a better answer for this than I do. So my biggest takeaway from the program is that there's a lot to learn by being on site and by studying the material in the location where it can be found, as opposed to just looking at pictures in the textbook. There's so much more that you can see and interact with and learn from actually being on site and looking at the material than you can from sitting in a classroom watching it. So it's a really worthwhile experience to go have these studies abroad where you can physically interact with the material.